In this episode, we're looking at investigating absorbency. At the end of this week's lesson, you will be able to define the concept, property, and absorbency, carry out fair tests to investigate absorbency, and complete at least 4 of the 8 activities at the learning centers. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been using hand sanitizers to keep our hands free of coronavirus. However, the more we use these sanitizers, the drier our hands become. Therefore, it is necessary that we use moisturizers to prevent the skin from drying out. It is important to note that the skin is absorbent, that is, it soaks up liquids. As such, moisturizers such as lotion, when rubbed on the skin, will be absorbed by the skin and make it softer. Like the skin, there are other materials that absorb liquids. Diapers absorb urine, paper towels absorb liquids that spill on the table, mops absorb liquid that is on the floor. Absorbent food pads in meat trays absorb blood from fish, meat, and poultry. Traffic rugs absorb liquid and keep the floor dry. Based on the aforementioned paragraphs, are you able to define the concept of absorbency? All the materials mentioned have similar properties associated with them. One of these properties is absorbency, that is, how the material behaves with other substances or materials. Absorbents are materials that soak up liquid because they contain small holes that soak up the liquid and allow it to spread all over the material until it reaches its absorbency capacity. That is the reason for using absorbent materials to soak up spills and to dry things. We often use sponges and cotton to soak up liquid. There are different types of absorbents. The one selected depends on the substance or material that spilled and needs to be removed. Example, sponges and cottons, towels and sawdust. So if we have a spill at home, we can use a sponge. Okay. If we have a cut, maybe they can use cotton to dry the area. We use towels, say at the bathroom, and sawdust could be used for a chicken coop. All right. So we have to keep that area nice and fresh and dry so we don't have much of a smell in raising chickens. We use sawdust to place on the floor. Let's look at the engage section. Collect sponge, cotton, and fabric. Observe each to find out if holes are visible. Use a magnifying glass to look at the holes in each material. Which has the largest holes? Predict which material will absorb or soak up the most liquid. Explore. Access the internet and view a video on absorbency. Explain. Use creative ways to explain to your classmates why materials are able to absorb liquid. Extend. Carry out a fair test to find out the materials that are good absorbents. Materials such as a rag, a paper towel, toilet paper, paper from an exercise book, plastic wrap, measuring cylinder, 2 beakers or containers. Now cut each material into an 8 by 8 centimeter square. Here's the method. 1. Measure 200 milliliters of colored liquid in a measuring cylinder and pour it into a beaker or container. 2. Dip the rag into the container with the colored liquid for 5 seconds. 3. Remove the rag and squeeze out the colored liquid into another beaker or container. 4. Dip the rag into the container with the colored liquid for another 5 seconds. 5. Remove and squeeze out the colored liquid into the other container again. 6. Dip the rag into the container with the colored liquid for another 5 seconds. Remove and squeeze out the colored liquid into the other container once again. Measure the amount of liquid that is left in the beaker or container. 9. Measure the amount of colored liquid removed from the beaker or container. This is the total amount of the liquid absorbed in the rag. Now, do similar activities for the other materials and compare the results of all the materials. Let's evaluate. Complete at least 4 of the activities at the 8 learning centers. WordLink at the Faye Ellington Center. Use resources available to find synonyms for absorbency. Self-link at the Dr. Agri-Irons Center. Make a journal entry expressing your interests in absorbent materials. Music link, the Jimmy Cliff Center. Write song lyrics to the concept of absorbency. Picture link at the Edna Manley Center. Draw 3 absorbent materials. So you could draw the rag, you could draw a diaper, you could draw a sponge, for example. Body link, Rex Nettleford Center. Make a model of a container to hold fresh meat. And of course, you can include the absorbent food pad that will soak up any of the blood that may come from the meat as it is being stored or transported. And this is to ensure that the material that is placed inside the container will be able to absorb the blood that is drained from the meat, as was said before. Let's go to the number link, Albert Einstein Center. Complete table 1 based on the results of the FAIR test done. So here we have table 1, we have the material listed here. So we have the toilet paper, the rag, the sponge, foil, plastic, and paper. And we have our observation in terms of the amount of colored liquid, the amount of colored liquid left, and the amount of colored liquid absorbed. Social link, Mary Sequel Center. Use a device to take photos of absorbent materials that you made. Dan Macaulay Center, NatureLink. Find information on anti-flood bags. What happens when it comes into contact with water? So in this episode, we were looking at investigating absorbency. And by now, we should be able to define the property of absorbency, right? And have an idea about some of the FAIR tests that can be done to prove this concept of absorbency. So there's a link in the description below to a shared folder where you can upload your videos of your activities, your FAIR tests, so that we can all learn from each other. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode.